very quickly, 2 sentences each. Introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, or what your interest is in this. Kimberly, why don't you start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kimberly Donners. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Colorado, and I work mostly with clients with ADHD and some anxiety and depression issues, and have been using amino and nutritional therapy for about 10 years now.
Wonderful. Amira.
Hi, my name is Amira. I'm from Wisconsin, relocating abroad soon to Mexico, Cancun.
Are you really?
Better opportunity of opening up a holistic healing center that I've been wanting for 20 years and to run it. And I'm looking forward to doing amino acid therapy. I don't have any clients quite yet, but my specialty is eating disorders, obesity, and trauma, PTSD. So using a variety of methods like lab work and stuff like that. Psychotherapy. I have a degree in psychotherapy. That's about it.
When are you moving to Cancun?
Well, I think it's in May. I'm staying for like a month and a half. And then I have to come back to Wisconsin and pack up and do things. So we're just waiting for the funding to come through. We have investors. So we're just waiting for all the paperwork, the banking paperwork, all of that to go through. And I don't have a backup plan. So that's it. Yeah.
Well, it takes a lot of courage. Congratulations, Amira, and more power to you.
Thank you.
All right, Heidi.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm an acupuncturist in New Hampshire and went through Christina's level 1 certification. I'm a yoga teacher, also holistic nutrition coach. And I'm so excited about a holistic center in Cancun.
Yes.
Wow.
And then we're going to franchise it. And then I'm going back to California, but that's all going to take time.
That's awesome. I would be interested in working for your center if you're looking for anybody.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. I speak Spanish and I love Mexico.
Okay. You want to put your name in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah, I will. Oh.
Wonderful. Serendipitous.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Hi there. My name is Jeff. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Colorado. And over the last number of months, I have shifted from hourly therapy sessions to packages of nutritional recovery, life coaching, and I do some other things, but that's me.
Yes, you're stepping up in wonderful ways. Glad you're with us, Jeff and Heidi. Elena.
Good morning. Hi, Elena, Oakland, California, certified Bowman nutrition educator. Just finished Christina's course, working on the internship. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Okay, Dylan.
Hey, Christina. So my name is Dylan. I'm an addiction recovery advocate and speaker, a certified life coach, and I help individuals improve outcomes, increase engagement in the recovery process, and also go into centers and provide presentations on nutrition and self-expression to help do the same. So good to be here.
Excellent. Welcome. Anna.
Good morning. My name's Anna. I am from West Virginia. I'm a person in long-term recovery from drugs and alcohol and an eating disorder. So I think that was really cool because we only had one facility in West Virginia where you could get treatment, and I had to wait like forever on the waiting list. And now they switched it to where they only treat teens. So we have 0 places in West Virginia for people who have eating disorders.
Yeah, they haven't made much progress in 20 years. They really haven't. And then they've cut out a lot of the recovery centers. They don't understand that eating disorders have the highest mortality rate out of all mental illnesses combined.
They do. 1 in 5 people actually die, and 50% of that is from suicide. Yeah. So that's blows my mind too. But yeah, so I just started Christina's course, and I'm just here to learn and try to help people.
Welcome, Anna. So glad you're with us. Deborah.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I was just shifting from one meeting to the next. I'm glad to be here. I'm with Inside Out, helping people build health from the inside out. Grateful for attending the academy and currently the board president for the Alliance for Addiction Solutions. So I hope you all become members and do what you're doing, which is to continue helping to spread the word. Good news, our statistics last month said we had like over 200 new members and they were spending about 10 minutes on the website. So they're going to be hearing about nutrition and amino acids, and you can put yourself, it's just a great way for a neutral spot for everyone and out in the public that hasn't found us to hopefully find us.
Wonderful. So glad you're president, Deborah, and welcome today.
Thanks.
All right. So today's topic is fatigue. And raise your hand if you have not experienced fatigue in your life. Yes, right? So it's something that impacts all of us. Some of us our whole lives, like myself, off and on. Others, you've done great and then it whams you and sort of out of the blue, or it comes on very gradually and you're not quite sure how you got there, but you got there and you don't like it. Some people think of it as just low energy rather than fatigue, but it all falls into the same ballpark. There are many, many, many reasons for fatigue. It's sort of, there are like many roads to Rome. Well, there are many roads to fatigue, and we are certainly not going to cover them all today, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I address in my 2 courses. And because they are some of the most common causes of fatigue and some of them more easily rectified and addressed.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Are we going to talk about chronic fatigue as well, or is this general fatigue?
Well, we are going to talk about both.
Oh.
Okay, because sometimes general fatigue has been there one's whole life, in which case it has become chronic. And then chronic fatigue syndrome is has a number of different components to it, some of which we will be touching on today, but not all. So where I start, and those of you who've known me for any period of time at all know that I always like to start here, and that is with food and nutrition. Because for the body to create energy, okay, there are mechanisms in every single cell of the body that creates energy. The mitochondria are these little, they're like, nuclear reactors that create energy, every second of every day. And sometimes they work well, and sometimes they don't work so well. But what they always need, and what the rest of the body needs to be able to utilize this energy and feel energetic, operate energetically so that we feel energetic, are the proper nutrients. Everything has to be fed. Nothing in our body works without key nutrients. Now, we all kind of know this, right? We know this in general, but it's really important to remember that just like our neurotransmitters need specific nutrients in order to mediate and stabilize our moods, so do the energy production systems of the body. And I'm not going to go into that in detail because there's a lot of detail one could go into. But suffice it to say, if you are not getting enough amino acids, enough protein. If you are not getting a wide array of vitamins and minerals, if you are not getting the correct fatty acids, and I will be talking about those in more detail, then you will have fatigue. You will be tired. Your body will not be able to function optimally, and it will not be able to create or utilize energy on a cellular level or on a systemic level. So we always begin and end with food.
Such a hot topic.
Well, it's a very hot topic, and it's a very hot topic because different bodies need different ratios of different types of food and nutrients in order to function optimally. Okay, one size does not fit all. But what we do know is that everybody needs protein. Everybody needs a wide variety of the vitamins and mineral cofactors, and everybody needs a wide variety of the fatty acids. The ratio of these may differ. And, you know, I'm sure some of you have figured that out on your own. And some of you, you know, can work with coaches to figure out what your own personal food plan, optimal food plan needs to look like. But every single one of us needs the basics, and needs the basics every day and consistently throughout the day. So with that said as our foundation, I'm now going to jump into some specifics. So, and it's kind of hard to know where to begin with the specifics because they're all sitting there in front of me, like in a semicircle, and they're raising their hands and they're saying, I'm really important, pick me first. No, I'm really important, pick me first. No, 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 I'm important, you should pick me first. So I am going to randomly pick the catecholamine neurotransmitter system first, because I get to teach about it frequently in my level 1 course. And tyrosine is one of my personal most favorite energizers. So the catecholamine system, which is made up of the neurotransmitters dopamine and then norepinephrine and adrenaline, have each particular neurotransmitter system in that system does slightly different things, but they all work together to give us motivation, drive, and the get up and go and energy to actually go do what we're motivated to do, go achieve what we're motivated to achieve. Whether it's, you know, hunting and gathering our food for the day, or running away from the saber-toothed tiger, or, you know, finding the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, or who at least you want to make babies with. Okay. So all of this, or just have fun with, even without the babies. Yes, indeedy. But all of this takes motivation, drive, and get up and go. And that's what the catecholamine system is designed to do. The norepinephrine and adrenaline are considered our stress hormones. They are also regulated by the adrenals, along with the hormone cortisol. And they literally give us energy. Now, sometimes that energy can be turned into anxiety. Sometimes it can turn into jitteriness. Sometimes there can be way too much of it, and oftentimes there's way too little of it. The precursor to the catecholamine system is the amino acid L-tyrosine. It turns into L-dopa, and we can actually provide L-dopa directly through the herb Mucuna pruriens. But tyrosine usually comes in 500 milligram capsules, and it's wonderful. People who have slow, sluggish depression characterized by lack of motivation, can't get out of bed, don't care anymore. Okay. That type of depression is characterized by the low CATs and responds beautifully to tyrosine. Sometimes the conversion between tyrosine and L-dopa doesn't work very well, in which case you need to bring in Mucuna or a combination of Mucuna and tyrosine. You have to be a little careful with Mucuna. So you want to start with tyrosine. Most people feel a difference within 20 minutes. And some people need 1,000 milligrams 3 or 4 times a day. Some people need only a tiny bit. So you've got to find your own, sweet spot. When I first started using amino acids 30 odd years ago, I loved tyrosine because I had had chronic fatigue my whole entire life. And by the time I was 30, I was barely functioning. I could barely drag myself out of bed. And there were times that I would just pray for the energy to stand up. So I am very familiar with that, degree of very deep fatigue. I needed 2 to 3 grams of tyrosine a day for about 10 years because I was very, very nutrient deficient. I had had undiagnosed celiac disease for around 30 years. And what celiac disease does is it prevents nutrients from getting into your body. So even though I was eating well, and I'd eaten well my whole entire life, I wasn't getting the benefit of those nutrients. So I was profoundly nutrient deprived. And so I needed to be on nutrient support as well as gut healing support after I went off gluten for a good 10 years to really, get to the point where my body was able to maintain its own stores of nutrients and neurotransmitters on its own. So tyrosine is one of my first go-tos when people complain of fatigue. Hand in hand with tyrosine, I will also frequently recommend, I will always recommend omega-3 fatty acids, preferably in the form of fish oil. Some people can't tolerate fish oil or won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's my husband. And then we will use generally a combination of flaxseed oil to provide the EPA and maybe DHA from blue-green algae, so that both omega-3s get covered because they're both important. Now, the omega-3 fatty acids are part of the Krebs cycle, part of the energy producing cycle in the body. So they're crucial. They're also involved in the production of the catecholamines. So again, energy producers. And they are involved in the transmission of neurotransmitters. So they're supposed to coat every single neuron. And they are part of what allows the neurotransmitter to actually be released into the synapse and then picked up by receptor sites. So a lot of the symptoms of low omega-3 fatty acids actually look like and feel like low catecholamines. So slow, sluggish, depression, low energy, no get up and go. Along with that, when your omega-3s are low, we also have inflammation, because the omega-3s are the precursor to a brain chemical called PGE3, which is profoundly anti-inflammatory. And so, you know, and inflammation is also profoundly energy draining and gets in the way of the energy producers in our bodies and our cells from working optimally. Now, there are good quality fish oil out there, not so good quality fish oil. There is concentrated, not so concentrated. It can get a little confusing. I really like the brands Carlson and Nordic Naturals. Now, Nordic Naturals itself can get a little confusing because they have a million different variations on the same theme. And I take one look at their list of products and want to run away screaming.
Okay.
So I have landed on their Pro 2000. It's concentrated fish oil, which means it has high levels of DHA and EPA in each capsule. They're 1,000 milligram capsules. 2 of those a day is a really good maintenance dose. Some people need more when they're operating on a deficiency. You can actually do laboratory testing to identify if your omega-3s are low. Something as simple as, you know, going through Quest or LabCorp, your doctor can actually order it, or you can order tests online yourself, or your clients can. So I will, whenever anybody is dealing with low energy and depression, I will bring in the omega-3s. I consider them, you know, I can't say they're antidepressant because that's a medical term, but I consider them to have some of the most powerful antidepressant effects of any substances in the entire world. And they kick in about 3 days. They're not one of these things like tyrosine you'll feel in about 20 minutes. Typically, you're not going to feel your fish oil in 20 minutes, but you are likely to feel it in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 3rd day after beginning to take it, my experience and that of many of my clients and students is just simply that the sun has come out. Everything's brighter. You have brighter mood, brighter energy. Your body feels brighter. So, omega-3s. Now, very important to be supplementing with the omega-3s during pregnancy. A lot of women, you know, have, not everybody, some people are very energized during their pregnancy, but some people are very tired. And a lot of women, most women, are very tired postpartum. Baby uses up a lot of mom's omega-3 fatty acids because, as I said, they have to coat every single neuron. Well, in utero, the baby's brain is growing and developing. I mean, it's actually putting on mass. And it is still growing and developing postpartum. So there's a lot of DHA, which is one of the omega-3s, in breast milk. And I was just speaking with a client yesterday, and for some reason, I had never asked her if she was supplementing with her omega-3 fatty acids. Her baby's about 18 months old. And she'd taken them for a couple months when she was living with her sister-in-law, but not during her pregnancy and not since the baby was born. And she's been significantly struggling with fatigue, overwhelm, and depression. And I was quite annoyed at myself that I hadn't asked her this like our very first session, which is what I try to remember to do. So she was quite excited to know that there might be something she could take natural that might help. So low omega-3 status can be a cause of postpartum depression and can be a cause of the fatigue that can accompany both pregnancy and, the first year or so after the baby is born. Any questions or comments so far?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Okay, so my boyfriend is an ex-commercial fisherman, and we're both environmentalists, and we're watching more and more and more documentaries about the fact that the oceans are pretty much completely fished out.
Yes.
And a lot of my young clients are aware of this too. So I've started using this product just really recently. And so I can't say I'm endorsing it or not yet because I haven't used it enough. But I wanted to know what your opinion is on a couple points. This is an algae-based. And what the argument of the algae-based people, they're saying that yes, fish oil will show you a higher content of the DHA and what's the other one is EPA, right? But it's DHA that we're mostly concerned about, right? Or
we need both, but
we need
EPA
both.
turns into DHA, or at least it's supposed to.
So what they're claiming is that even though the content is higher in fish oil, that our bodies don't absorb it as well. Do you have any opinion on that? Or
My opinion on that has to do with digestion.
okay.
Once you get it down to the actual molecule, your body's going to absorb the molecule because it's the same molecule, whether it comes from, wherever it comes from, it's the same molecule.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, is algae easier to break down and digest, the fats from algae, than the fats from fish? I don't know. Maybe.
It probably depends on the person. Right.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly need enough lipase and bio to emulsify the fat and lipase to actually break it down into its parts.
So lipase is an enzyme?
It's the digestive enzyme that digests fat, yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just offering this up because I'm looking for ways that my vegans can get their omega-3s. And so
absolutely. So that's why I was suggesting a combination of flaxseed oil, which is a good source of EPA, and then DHA from your algae sources.
Okay, so EPA is what we find mostly in the flax, and then DHA in the algae.
Yes.
What about chia?
Chia is, again, my understanding is, and if anybody knows differently, please, speak up. My understanding is that all your seed sources, your chia seed, flax seeds, blackcurrant seeds, give you the EPA rather than the DHA. And then some of them will also give you the GLA, the gamma linoleic acid, that we also need.
Does that include hemp?
That includes hemp, yes. Okay. You had raised your hand. Did you want to add to this conversation?
Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. My question was on Vasepa. I have a lot of patients who are prescribed those fish oils through their insurance. And the active ingredients in there and the composition of the whole thing kind of is a little questionable for me. Do you have any comments as to whether this pharmaceutical product that's covered by Medicare really does help, or it has the essence of, what a true
Sure.
EPA
That's-
DHA would do?
That's a really good question. I do not know the answer to it, but if they are synthetically creating a molecule that
Yes,
looks like, I would say that's not what our body needs. You know,
I'm in
we wanna go-
100% agreement with you. I just, I was
It's
researching
not
it
a
and,
food.
right. Yes, so yeah, these things are $300 a bottle. It makes people very happy that their insurance pays for it and they substitute it instead of taking fish oils.
Yes.
And so-
Elena, our vitamin store lady.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really good topic. I mean, right off the bat, the fish sustainability thing is huge. The quality is huge. And what I have seen with any prescription vitamins over the years, like that, the prescription vitamins are some of the filthiest freaking products around.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah.
I had a
Since
brand
we
new
were
mom
talking
come
about,
in a few years ago, a brand new mom. She was bleary-eyed and had a prescription in her hand that she had gotten for her newborn for vitamin D drops for a newborn. And she just looked at me, glazed over, and went, hmm. And I looked at it, and under other ingredients, for instance, were things that you don't even want in your cosmetics. And I went, well, if they can take this back, get your money back if you pay, and try this, whatever, which one it was we have here, right?
Which
They're
is great.
so filthy.
Yeah.
And then the Nordic, yeah, that is a good point. They have a million products, but they are really good. And like, for instance, New Chapter, which, got bought out by who? Johnson and Johnson or the other guys years ago, but their salmon oil capsules have literally won like awards for sustainability. They use the heads and the tails and get all those omegas in there, and the fish itself goes and gets used as fish. So there's some different interesting things that are out there that are, I mean, kind of as good as we can get under the global, arena, right? And then the DHA thing, my understanding from way back at Bowman was always that we as humans, I think, don't generally convert the ALA from the flax into the DHA. So that's why we have to get the DHA from algae, which is where the fish get it. But
they're farming algae.
been
independently
updated.
now.
Some people do the conversion just fine.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. I know for myself, there was a point in time that I switched from fish oil to flaxseed oil.
Mhm.
And the flaxseed oil did me just as well as the fish oil. I did not notice a decrease in functioning or an increase in anything bad at all when I switched over. Now, that isn't to say that everybody converts it as efficiently. There are some enzymes required. We do know that babies under the age of 1 cannot, apparently, according to the World Health Organization, cannot make that conversion. So they do require DHA. This is why if you look at baby food formula, that when the formula has omega-3s in it, it is DHA from algae. Now, the World Health Organization in something like 1982, 83, strongly recommended that all bottle-fed babies, that the formula have DHA in it, and that all pregnant and nursing mothers supplement with the omega-3s. The United States apparently was one of the last countries to start adding DHA to formula. Anna.
This made me go get mine. So mine isn't like a prescription per se, but it's through my functional doctor. And I mean, I'm looking at the ingredient, and it is very expensive also, which is why I'm asking if I should switch, or what ingredients should we?
Who's the company?
Yeah, that was
Let's
my
see the label.
Metagenics.
Oh,
they're very good.
Very
Okay.
good. Okay.
They're
Metagenics
absolutely
is very
phenomenal.
good and very expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you could probably do just as well with another good, cheaper brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said those were Nordic.
Nordic Naturals or Carlson.
Okay. Thank you.
Or the brand that it's private labeled, but it's from a good company on my website. The Academy website as well is a reasonable one. But yeah,
Christina, how's the Life Extensions, that brand?
Life Extension is good. So there's some
Yeah.
really good top companies, and the really good top companies have a price tag associated with them.
Yeah, they're
that
expensive.
Isn't necessarily necessary. Okay. There are some really good midline companies where you're going to get quality and safety without going to the top of the top of the top. Now, those of
Gotcha.
you who can afford the top of the top of the top, go for it. Absolutely. Right. They're there for a reason. The rest of us are going to go a little more, middle of the road.
That makes sense. One more for you. What about Pure encapsulations?
They're good.
Again,
They're good.
yes, they're
Yeah,
good.
they're more expensive though. I can't remember if they were like top
Yes.
of the line or not.
So some of the top of the line companies are Metagenics, Designs for Health, Apex. Come on, somebody jump in. I'm missing a few. I'm missing 3.
What
I like
about
the
Now's Ultra?
Biotics,
Omega-3?
Biotics Research, Ortho
Biotics is-
Molecular.
Biotics is top, Life Extension is top, Now is mid-range.
Standard process.
Standard Process is top,
So some of those companies
and Pure is top.
are really practitioner companies. They really don't sell retail except a little bit like at Pharmaca, which is because it has a farm. I don't know, it's complicated. So some of those, like the practitioner companies who don't sell
Thymogen.
retail,
Yeah,
they're going to charge you the money as their client. They're going to charge you their practitioner price,
right. See, that's
which
what's
is gonna
happening to you,
be
Anna.
almost like double. And if you have a practitioner, like I have accounts with Metagenics, Designs for Health, because I have my NE from Bowman from years ago. You can make an account for yourself with those and get better prices. And
That's
then
what
there
I was
are,
kind of wondering, because mine's through Cleveland Clinic, and I figured because she said like you can't really buy these, and they're really good. You
Right.
can't really buy them, but they are so expensive, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't keep up with this every month because there's more than just this.
and
Go buy
those other
either Nordic
ones,
Carlson or Nordic Naturals from
Nordic,
Amazon.
Carlson, that salmon oil by New Chapter is quite amazing. Not the cheapest again, but then there are sites that sell all kinds of brands, like that you can look and get cheaper, like it's called Swanson.com, which
Oh, yeah.
reminds
Yes,
right, Swanson.com.
Swanson's a good one. Anna, there is a new vitamin store. I think it's in Hurricane. It might be in St. Albans. We have a member of our community, Darlene Rose. She used to work at the Healthy Living Market in Barboursville in their drug emporium, but she's
Mhm.
just moved over to this brand new vitamin store somewhere near Hurricane. And she's somebody you should make contact with anyway.
Okay.
And she's their manager. And she could walk you through all the options, the really good options. She knows what she's doing.
Okay. Is it Valley Naturals?
It very well could be, yes.
Okay.
I have a
And-
dispensary if anybody's interested through Emerson Ecologics and
Mhm.
Natural Dispensary. So you get a discount. Just putting it out there in case somebody's interested.
That, yes. So you can do full script, you can do Emerson Ecologics, you can
Yep.
do Shackley. There's a number of things that you can get some really good stuff from. Yes, Deborah.
I put this link in the chat. I've been doing Shackley for 20 years. The quality is good, but this is a vegan omega-3. It's actually sustainably produced and gathered and grown here in the US. So the link's in there because I know that those are harder to find. They also have a great omega that's pharmaceutical quality. So it has all 7 of the types of DHA, EPA, and there's actually 7 of them that they include. So we'll probably find out more about those other 5, 6, or 4 that we haven't been talking about. But, and then one last thing is if you go to Costco, they have some wild caught Alaskan salmon that's dried, smoked, and Kimberly doesn't like that, but it's a pretty good price.
Don't think it really is.
Well, no, they have the ones that aren't, but then they have the wild caught, and I can definitely tell the difference in the quality of the fish for the ones that they say is wild caught. But
They do have a
Well,
comparison chart.
Okay, go ahead.
They do have a comparison chart. It's out there somewhere where they list all of the supplements that you can buy, the brand name, and it goes through which are quality, which are, not so good. It's really valuable information. I forgot where I found it, but yeah.
Who does that?
you have to ask who's doing the grading. Sometimes they always tend to be the ones
Yeah.
at the top of the grading. So be careful of that too.
And Mara, maybe if you can find the link to that, you can put it in the chat. That would be great.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
And by
Where
the
it
way, you're
comes-
just welcome to raise your hand.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Kimberly and then Elena.
Okay, I want to know between EPA and DHA, are there certain proportions we should be looking for?
Eileen, do you want to take that one? Because yes, there is, and I'm not the best person to ask about, or Elena, do you want to try that?
Oh, I thought you said, who's Eileen?
Well, there's Eileen and Elena.
Oh, I
So
don't see
whoever
Eileen.
wants to run with this answer, run with it.
I just know that just naturally different fish naturally come, if they're just doing the fish, like the omega-3, the different fish and like the algae and things naturally have a particular ratio of EPA to DHA. And then you have companies like Nordic and some others who also, I'm not sure what they do exactly, but they fractionate it to have supplements that are higher in DPA or DHA or EPA. And I mean, I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing as far as like fractionating them goes, but that's my understanding of how that works.
Okay, so technically, this is research-based. What we want is a healthy ratio of the 6 to the 3 to be at least 1-on-1, or actually 15 1-on-1. So it's majority people, their diets are turning out to be 20 to 1 instead of that 1-on-1 ratio. So that's
Wait,
why.
Eileen, are you talking about omega-6s to omega-3s or EPA to DHA?
I'm talking about 6 to the 3.
Yeah.
the overall picture of it,
Yeah,
Right.
that's
if
different.
that's making sense.
Yes.
So that's why, you know, we create these supplements that are higher in the EPA than they are in the DHA level, and then that also has its own little synergy that we want to honor. So you don't want to throw off people by giving them too much DHA versus the EPA, because that also causes, you know, it kind of backfires when we're talking long-term supplementation.
So ideally, EPA to DHA should be 1-to-1.
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
That
wait,
is
Not precisely, though.
wait a moment,
Yeah,
wait a moment.
up to 4-to-1
Depends on the fish.
within that range.
Are you, Eileen, are you talking about EPA to DHA, or are you talking about omega-6s to omega-3s?
Well, our standard diet is very rich in omega-6s, right?
So we
Yeah,
need,
so that's a different thing.
that's a different thing. So we need, they're saying we really need a 1-to-1 ratio between the omega-3s and the omega-6s. That's going to be really difficult to get. You have to work at that. And again, if, you know, every once in a while doing a blood test to sort of, if you've been supplementing really hard on the omega-3s for a long time, I would do one of your blood tests or a finger prick test just to find out where you're landing in your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. But the question is about between EPA and DHA. And yes, they do different things. And at the moment, I am forgetting a little bit about which one does most. I think EPA is more your anti-inflammatory. I think
Correct.
DHA is more of what lands in your neuron membrane.
Correct.
Ah,
That is
coats the neurons.
Yes, thank you. So so they really do different things. I know some doctors who really push the EPA for the anti-inflammatory effect and for
Okay.
the cardiovascular effect. Because again, if I'm remembering correctly, it's the EPA that lowers cholesterol levels. But don't quote me on it. It's been a long time since I've read the research, and this is not at the front of my mind.
Yes,
But
that's generally what happens. True.
okay, it's good. So we've got another nutritionist verifying that. But if you're really needing the DHA for neurotransmitter transmission, for attention deficit disorder,
Okay.
okay, for all of your learning disability issues and your mood issues and your energy, that's where you want to be stressing the DHA over the EPA.
Correct. That's why this
Great.
is such a personalized approach, because it's hard. We can talk
Hi,
generally.
Deborah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yes, agreed.
In general, you're going to see a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 times EPA to 1 time DHA. And
Could you
that's-
repeat that 2 times DHA?
EPA.
Okay, so for instance, my Now brand, okay, nice mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
Per 1 capsule, it has 500 milligrams of EPA and 250 milligrams of DHA. Okay, so that's a 2-to-1 ratio,
With EPA being higher.
with EPA being higher, because in most people can convert the EPA to DHA.
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't know EPA does convert. Okay.
yes. EPA is supposed to be able to convert to DHA. Children under the age of 1 cannot. The rest of us are supposed to be able to. That said, not all of us, for genetic and other reasons, do that conversion effectively.
They also can technically be made in the body from ALA. So
That's true too.
yeah. but most people are inefficient
Right.
for a
And
variety of reasons. You know,
right.
you're not talking about the average healthy person that has a healthy gut and a healthy lifestyle, because if they did, then they more likely than not wouldn't be where they are, correct?
Exactly. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that when she says ALA, that's alpha linoleic acid, I think. It is not, oh, I just had it.
This is your flax, chia, and walnuts.
Yes, but alpha
It's not,
lipoic acid.
it's not a part of the formula usually. When you buy omega-3s, ALAs are not in there. ALAs,
No,
yeah.
and they don't need to be, because they're like precursor.
Correct.
These other things can be made from them, but I want to make sure, because I've had some doctors actually confuse this, because people often think of ALA as alpha lipoic acid,
No, it's
Mhm.
alpha linolenic.
and
Linolenic.
alpha lipoic acid is something very different, and it does something very different from the alpha linolenic. Yeah, that's
Linolenic. It's nick because
linolenic
it has two bites.
acid. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Everybody get that? We've got two different substances that can go by the name of ALA. One turns into EPA, one is an omega-3 fatty acid, and the other is not. Yes, Elena, and then Amira.
And alpha linolenic acid is listed on like your flax oils.
Yeah.
That is listed, the milligrams, right? And then just one thing, from something I learned to kind of remember it, even though there's crossover in EPA, I think gets used more for certain kinds of depression if you're doing higher doses of one or the other. And an easy way to remember it, I learned years ago, was DHA is for the brain, like that. And that DHA part is really good for focus. And there's so many studies like Nordic, you can pull some up, all kinds on using it, you know, clinical studies in kids with behavior issues, and as well as
Concussion.
prisoners, people, you know, with the neurotransmitter stuff. And also one more thing about the cost, that life extension site, which I haven't done it yet because I work in a health food store and get a good discount, but I was just looking at them the other night and they have really good prices. If you join them, the yearly program, for $50 a year, you get unlimited free shipping and really wicked good deals on a lot of good stuff. Okay, thanks. That's it.
Okay, Amira. And
I was
then
just
we need
going
to
to
move
add
on.
in, this is real quick. Alpha lipoic acid is for your immune system. It's an antioxidant. And
Well, it's for more than your immune.
I actually take it because my nutrient therapy test, oh, I thought I disappeared for a second. And I'm like, am I talking to myself? So yeah, I was deficient in alpha lipoic acid. So as a part of my testing for food intolerances, vitamin, minerals, micronutrients. So it's an antioxidant.
Yes, and it does a number of things other than just boost your immune system. It's very helpful for people with neuropathy,
Okay.
as well as heart disease.
Nice.
So it's extremely useful, but when you see ALA, make sure you realize what it is referring to. Okay, well, I didn't expect us to get off into this conversation, but this has been really exciting. Any other questions or comments about the omega-3 fatty acids and what they do for us? So some fatigue will come from brain inflammation, okay? People with concussions or traumatic brain injury or post-concussive disorder will frequently suffer from just generalized fatigue, but also brain fatigue, okay? Where you just can't think for very long or read for very long or focus for very long. And people with post-concussive disorder or TBIs often experience this. And if you are working in an addiction treatment program and you have a client who has post-concussive disorder or a TBI or more than one, first of all, you need to assess for that. And secondly, you really need to take that into account in your treatment, because these people cannot tolerate long lectures, long programming. They need a lot more rest. They'll fade out faster. They'll space out because their brain has just gone offline because it can't keep up. So, you know, these aren't people who don't care. These are people whose brains just are too injured to keep up with the regular pace of inpatient or even outpatient treatment, which can be very, very intense. And these people are more likely to drop out or to fail just because of the brain injury that often gets overlooked. The fish oil will help with this. Dr. Michael Lewis, who wrote the book When Brains Collide and started a research institute with Nordic Naturals to study how you can use the omega-3 fatty acids to overcome post-concussive disorder. If you have clients who have had several brain injuries, even minor ones, because apparently there's a cumulative effect, he recommends 15 grams of Nordic Naturals top product, which is really concentrated and high dose, per day for a week to significantly reduce the brain inflammation. And please bear this in mind, because some people are dropping through the cracks because this isn't being recognized or addressed. So this is a different type of fatigue, brain fatigue, but it's very, very real. Okay.
And for how long did he recommend it?
So for a week, and then you drop back to a more reasonable dose. And a lot of people can change tremendously and have significant reduction in symptoms at the end of the 7 days.
And that was the Pro 2000 by Nordic?
That's the Pro 2000, yeah. So using 5 grams of that, well, yeah, 5 grams, so 5 pills of that 3 times a day with food. It is a food, it needs to be digested. So you want to take it with food. People who are missing their gallbladder will have a harder time digesting these higher fats. And so you want to bring in fat digestive support. We've talked about that elsewhere. Okay. I'm going to move on and talk about adrenal function. And then even though there's so many other things we can talk about, I might just extend this topic next month as well. And we'll talk about different causes of fatigue. But low adrenal function is another one. And there's lots of sort of different arguments about whether we can actually call it adrenal fatigue or low adrenal function. And, but I'm still going to call it adrenal fatigue because everybody resonates with that term and knows what it feels like and knows what it means. We could talk about adrenal downregulation, where the adrenal glands themselves have sort of decided to just sort of take a rest. But whatever it is, The production of adrenaline and cortisol initially pumps up to carry us through and then drops down. And there's a very particular type of fatigue that comes with it. It's just this deep sort of bone level exhaustion that comes with adrenal fatigue, but it also includes problems in concentration, focus, memory, learning. It's a physical fatigue, but it's also a mental fatigue. And I've had to put clients, when I was working as a licensed psychotherapist, I had several clients who I put on short-term disability due to stress, but really what it was due to was stress-related fatigue and adrenal underfunctioning. And there's a whole lot of symptoms that run along with this that, you know, we talk about in our advanced class. I'm not going to go into all of them right now.
Can you say that one more time again? Sorry to interrupt. You said adrenal underfunctioning and what else?
Let's just stick with adrenal underfunctioning.
Okay.
So it's this deep fatigue, in difficulty getting up in the morning, difficulty waking up in the morning. People can sometimes get dizzy if they stand up quickly. And it impacts all areas of functioning. Because our adrenals also make our reproductive hormones, it can lead to low reproductive hormone functioning as well. And in men, this is going to impact testosterone, and low testosterone in men is going to lead to fatigue, sometimes profound fatigue.
What was the first type of hormone you said it produces?
Cortisol.
Oh, yeah.
But it also produces your reproductive hormones. Yeah, it's a very scary time. 2 years ago, when I moved from Denver to West Virginia, for part of that move, I was so exhausted that I had to sit on my sofa and watch my friends pack my house. I would point and say, okay, you know, and I was very embarrassing, you know, to have your friends pack your house for you when you're just sitting, you know, lounging on the sofa. But I literally couldn't stand up for more than 5 minutes. And then I got some, I went on standard process adrenal support that tremendously helped. I got cold laser treatment. I got some other treatments that got me functioning for a while. Right, you don't look sick. You look normal. You just can't move, and you can't think, and it's quite frightening. So one of the first things you want to look at, and this is an odd one, this is surprising, is your cholesterol levels. Because we need adequate cholesterol. Cholesterol actually makes all of our adrenal and our reproductive hormones. And so if you're not, see, this is where the fatty acids come in again. Now, in our society, there's this huge movement to lower cholesterol levels. High cholesterol, you know, is considered this really scary thing. Well, the problem is that some people's cholesterol, whether because of statin drugs or because they're vegans or their cholesterol levels get very low. And that we know that leads to, this is just a little side, we know that leads to increased depression, suicidality, and sometimes even violence. But it's also going to lead to fatigue. So we need to make sure that our cholesterol, total cholesterol, is not below, at the bottom, 160. And some people even say it shouldn't go below 170. You know, there's a very tight window that cholesterol should be maintained at. And the liver is supposed to do that. The liver is supposed to make cholesterol when we're not getting enough in our diet. So when cholesterol levels get very low, you also have to look at liver function. What's going on that the liver is actually not making the cholesterol? Okay. So you look at that, make sure that's working well. Make sure that the adrenals are getting the nutrients it needs. Pantethine or pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. Maybe 500 milligrams 3 times a day. Pantethine is required to turn cholesterol into these other, into this hormone pathway. Vitamin C is found in high levels in the adrenals. So, at minimum 3 grams of vitamin C a day, if not much higher. That's a whole story in and of itself. And then there are a lot of herbs that can support adrenal function. And there are a number of energizing herbs. And if for some of my clients, if the tyrosine or the and the fish oil isn't quite cutting it, and I do believe that there's adrenal fatigue going on, and you can test for this, I will bring in some of the stimulating adrenal support. Now, that's supporting adrenals fully is a whole nother lecture. And using herbs for this is a full nother lecture. But the energizing adrenal herbs, one of my favorite is rhodiola. There's been a lot of research in Siberia on using rhodiola to increase energy and stamina and stress resilience. You've got maca from the rainforest. You've got a variety of products that are called ginsengs. Some are related to each other, some are not. Panax ginseng is one of the most familiar. It's fairly hard hitting. Sometimes they can end up maybe supporting testosterone a little too much. So we have Panax ginseng, we've got American ginseng, they're stimulating. We've got something called Siberian ginseng, which technically is not a ginseng, it is eleuthero. Thank you, Elena. And eleuthero is a balancer, and it gives a gentle energy. It's recommended a lot for women, Siberian ginseng or eleuthero. And it's a very nice, gentle place to start for a lot of people, or mixing it with rhodiola. There are a number of products out there on the market which combine some of these things together. But using some of these energizing products can be, can really make a difference and just help you get through your day. Of course, we need to make sure that blood sugar is stable, blah, blah, blah. Elena, do you have any, or anybody else, have any favorite products for energizing adrenal support?
Eleuthero is my numero uno the last few years. There is so much long-time research you can pull up out there on what is it, any of the eleuthero. And so what I tell, in fact, I had a guy come back in, I don't know, 30s, Asian descent, not sure where, but he came back to get some more eleuthero, and he said, he love this because Eleuthero, what I tell people is like it grows in Siberia. That's why its nickname is Siberian ginseng, even though technically in the botanical world, I think it's not technically a ginseng, right? But it's ginseng, like it has really good immune properties. And so what I tell people is, you know, if it grows in Siberia originally, and it can not only survive, but actually thrive in that incredibly harsh environment, when we take it, it imparts that resilience to us.
Yeah.
In a really, really good, balanced way. I like Eleuthero a whole lot. And
Is there
then,
a brand? Because I've been talking about trying some ginseng, adding that into my daily stuff, but I wasn't sure like what brand, what kind of like what to go with.
I like to go for herbs mostly with companies that's all they do, like Gaia Herbs, like
Okay.
there's a smaller one, Oregon's Wild Harvest is really, really good. And it depends also if you want extra liquid extract tincture or if you want pills. Herb Farm herbs, there's some good, but make sure they're certified organic, like herb companies. That's what I like to go with, and also to support those companies.
Okay.
But you can go through sites too, like maybe there's something on the school site, Christina, I'm not sure.
But Elena, Solar Ray has a whole herbal line.
Yeah, they do.
Do you like their herbal products?
They're good. They just make so, like the Now company, so many thousands of products that with the herbs, I try to go more directly, you know, from the ground through the herb companies. That's just kind of one of my things.
Real quick, too, ginseng, there's different varieties. There's like ginseng from Japan, ginseng from
that's
China.
what we were just saying.
Yeah, so then they each kind of have a different.
Eleuthero is Eleuthero.
And each ginseng has a little bit different activity on the body. And I was also going to say too, if you're buying herbs, especially Chinese herbs, make sure they are here in the USA made, because if they're from China, they have sulfites on them.
It's good to know. Thank you. I do have a question. I don't know, Elena, if you have the answer to this. So Eleuthero, I think it's also an island in the Caribbean. Do we know how it got its name?
Well, I didn't know that part, so. Eleuthero, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious how actually it got its Latin name, given that it's a Siberian herb.
I'm actually going to look it up in my amazing Donna Yance Adaptogens in Medical Herbalism book, but you guys keep going and I'll look it up and listen.
I want to just say that I don't take tyrosine very often anymore, even though I have significant ADHD, because it causes some other issues for me. So I've switched to taking rhodiola and some DLPA in the morning to get me going, and it's working really well.
Nice.
And I also take Gaia Herbs. They have a lot of products that say adrenal health.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the one I like, but it has a balance between rhodiola, holy basil, and there's some ashwagandha in it too.
So that's going to be a balancing, because rhodiola is energizing, holy basil is calming and sedating, and ashwagandha is in the middle.
Yeah. And you want to be careful not to mix too many supplements together, especially like the Western stuff with the Eastern stuff, because there actually still to this day, not a lot of research on the effects of the combination and their reactions. So contraindications. We
And
don't
let's
really
be
know.
careful because the herbs we're talking about here, this is not Eastern herbal medicine. This is coming out of Western herbal medicine traditions. So we can't use the term Eastern to apply to them because the Western herbal medicine tradition is a very robust tradition with a couple of different lines within it. You've got
Yeah.
a couple of different schools of Western
agree.
herbal medicine.
Yeah, but ginseng is definitely an Eastern thing.
Well, ginseng is a Chinese herb and in Japan, but it's also there's an American ginseng that the Native Americans have used quite extensively and are found in a lot of the forests here on the East Coast.
Perfect.
Is it used for any particular
Well,
thing,
yes,
the American
well,
ginseng?
I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It supports adrenal function, it supports some other things. So, you know, all of the different symptoms of adrenal dysfunction, of which there are many, can be helped.
Well, and doesn't rhodiola and ashwagandha come more out of Ayurvedic medicine, I think?
Well, they can be used, but I mean, rhodiola is a Siberian herb.
Oh, is it? Mhm.
I mean, not that it grows, I mean, it grows lots of other places. So yes, there are different herbal traditions that some of these plants grow around the world, and different herbal traditions are going to pick them up and use them because they work. It doesn't matter what country they're from, you know, they work.
Hopefully
So-
we're not going to get cut off from the Siberian herbs now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Asian, Eastern Europe and Asia as well. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these plants grow in many, many different parts of the world. And as I said, that's why they're part of different herbal traditions.
Other than the saliva testing for adrenals, do you, like, I used to use Dr. Wilson's questionnaire a lot. I haven't felt the need to lately, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Let me just answer this question. Well, I recommend a variety of brands of DPA. Again, you can go with the DLPA, you can go with the top companies, but Solaray, Jarrow, Country Life now all have really decent DLPA products.
Carlson.
Yeah. So Kimberly, was your question about testing?
Yeah, if, you know, if we don't, if doing the saliva-based testing isn't convenient, or maybe as a preliminary, I've used Dr. Wilson's questionnaire a lot that he has online. Are you familiar with that?
I am familiar with that. That is a very useful questionnaire. So Dr. Wilson is one of the people who first popularized the whole notion of adrenal fatigue. He has a book called Adrenal Fatigue. Now there is a practitioner, functional medical practitioner on the scene, Ari Witten, and he really doesn't like the notion of adrenal fatigue at all. He kind of comes to the same place from a different place. He has a lot of kind of energy podcasts and conversations about how to build energy, which are interesting. I don't agree with everything he says, but he does have he has some good products and some interesting information. But I really like Dr. Wilson's stuff. It makes sense. It's testable, it's verifiable. And when you kind of utilize it, you get the results you're looking for.
I think what the controversy of adrenal fatigue is as I talk to doctors throughout the years and looking at common cases together, if you don't, you're looking at somebody that doesn't have a metabolic challenge, if they are not deficient in their B vitamins, if they do not have insulin resistance, if their gut is functioning well, if they're not immunocompromised, then adrenal fatigue hardly ever shows up.
Right.
That's why these doctors have a hard time saying that this patient has adrenal fatigue, because adrenal fatigue oftentimes more so than not is a result of prior conditions that have not been addressed that ended up in creating adrenal fatigue. So then when we go and we just try to treat adrenal fatigue prior to looking at whether this person has insulin resistance, are they handling their blood sugar appropriately, or are they absorbing properly? Are they resting properly? Do they have any deficiencies, especially of the B vitamins? And how well is their immune function? Then it becomes a problem for these doctors. In fact, I know doctors that will never ever touch fixing the adrenals prior to fixing these problems, because what they say it generally happens is that as if you're putting the pedal on the metal, trying to feed the adrenals and making it well, whereas over here, you're burning oil instead of fuel, if that makes sense. So that is generally the conversation I hear with my mentors and people that I've learned from throughout the years. And that's what I hear them say, one way or another.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, because that reminds us that we are an interconnected system of systems. And when one system has gone out, you need to be looking at, you need to be asking why, and you need to be looking at how it's impacting other systems, but how issues in the other systems are impacting and draining it. Okay, it goes both ways. So whenever we see any one system that's out, we have to be looking at the other systems as well, both a downstream effect, but also an upstream effect. And we need to be addressing the health of the entire person and, all of the systems. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up adrenal fatigue is because we see this a lot in family, people who have active addiction in their families. We see it a lot in caretakers. We see it in a lot in people who've gotten really, really out of balance in their lives and have not been exercising self-care. So yes, I do believe in bringing in support, direct support of the adrenals, because we have to get people functioning. And at the same time, we look at these other issues. And at the same time, we teach people and we support people in accessing much better self-care and relaxation ability. Yes, Kathy.
I've also heard more recently, and I think Ari Witten might be one of them, that talks about more, instead of adrenal, that it's more at a deeper level of the mitochondria and cell danger response. And that when the mitochondria, when there's inflammation or trauma, which results in inflammation, or any kind of significant imbalance in the body, then the mitochondria will shift their energy production to address the inflammation. And so much of the fatigue comes from that shift to handle inflammation as opposed to moving your body.
Exactly.
Great point, Kathy.
And Kathy, you missed it when I first started this presentation. I didn't go into depth about mitochondria, but I did start there. Yes.
Yes,
So-
I'm sorry. I came late. I lost track of time. So,
Well, that's okay, but I'm really glad you brought that up because, as I mentioned right at the beginning, the mitochondria are the energy producers in the body.
and I think it turns out to be the vicious cycle that it's all
Right.
connected because when you lack self-care, you're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and it's just depleting at all corners. The adrenals, the mitochondria, inflammation keeps increasing. We keep pushing. We keep, what's wrong with me, and no one understands, and I got to keep doing life, and and you keep on keeping on, and the trauma keeps coming, and vicious cycle.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, they have supplements now that go directly into the mitochondria. It's very interesting.
That have the nutrients that the mitochondria
Yeah.
utilize to
Mhm.
function more
So it gets it at a cellular level.
Mm-hmm. All right. Have I missed anybody? Oh, Elena. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. It just made me think of one thing. Like as far as that energy production and that flow, like I was always been one of those people, and I know a lot of people like this, where it's like, if you can go, then you are good. You are okay. If you can go.
Yes, that used to be me.
You pride yourself on it. It's like a matter, it seriously, and I never understood it. And honestly, I just had a birthday this week and just turned 69 is fine. And I just only in the last couple of years have figured out, and it was from the Adaptogens in Medical Herbalism by Donna Yance, that thing between anabolic and catabolic. And I was always so go that I could never even remember the difference, which one was which, until I came up with a little phrase for my brain where catabolic means the cat wants to go out. The cat isn't feeling like resting. The cat wants to go out the door, is that output energy, and anabolic is that feeding, nourishing energy, right? And it has taken me this long to even get a handle on that, how important that balance is. And we, like, as a culture even, and maybe like a lot of, with some exceptions, where people are still in touch, globally, just completely catabolic, I think.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just starting to get a handle on this. So I'm instead of being mad at myself for not getting it sooner, oh, well, okay, be anabolic and pat yourself on the back for, finally maybe seeing it in a different way. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Kathy, did you want to add something? I notice your hand's still raised.
Oh, sorry. No, I forgot to lower it.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been quite a lively conversation. We didn't get too personal this time. So is everybody okay with this getting posted up on YouTube?
Yes.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Not at all.
Okay, great. So, and it will, of course, get posted in the closed Facebook group. Thank you all for attending. This has been wonderful. I think we will continue this topic next month because I want to talk about thyroid and I want to talk about food intolerances. And I want to talk more about inflammation and toxicity. So please bring cases if you want to share cases, and whatever questions you have or whatever research you want to do between now and then, and you want to share with the group, works for me. I want to let everybody know that if you're not yet a member of the Alliance for Addiction Solutions, please do consider becoming one. Current students they've kindly offered a year membership. Other people will have to pay for membership. But Julia Ross has stepped back from their monthly clinical roundtable, and I am now taking it over with Chris Engen in the background. She'll be taking the foreground at times. And we are alternating. 1 month, we're doing a straight case consultation. The next month, we're doing something like this community forum where experts will be presenting on a topic, and then people will bring cases and questions pertaining to that topic. So the next one is in about a month. It's the second Tuesday of the month, and the topic will be using amino acids with children. So thank you all. Have a wonderful month. I'll see you next month, if not sooner. Bye-bye.
Happy Saturday.
Christina,
Thank you.
I have a question, a real quick one.
Yes.
Who do I connect with in regards to my membership to the Alliance? For whatever reason, I wasn't able to log in. I don't know what was going on. I know I'm a paid member.
Deborah Philla.
Deb. Okay.
Do you have her
Okay.
contact information?
If you don't mind, wasn't she on
Yes.
today?
I think,
Oh, okay.
I think it's up here near the
If you
top.
if you don't mind sharing.
Well, no, she just, okay, let me put it up there really quickly. Come on.
Thank you so
on.
much.
You know what? I'll just text it to you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that works.
All right.
Thanks a million.
Thanks, everybody.
You guys have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend. Bye-bye.